No, here. Oops.
All right, cool. All right. How do we do the audio part? You can hear me? Wait a second. You hear me through the computer? Hold on one second. All right, cool. Nicholas. All right. How do we do the audio part? Okay. You know what? I'm going to hang up my cell phone, and you should still be able to hear me. Correct? You can hear me. Okay. I'm going to hang up. Wait a second. You're hearing me through the computer? Okay. Hold on one second. Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Can you hear me? Nicholas.
Yeah. I'm getting feedback through your thing.
Okay, one second. I'm hang up my cell phone, and you should still be able to hear me, correct?
Okay, better actually. We can try now. I had my big speakers on actually.
There's a lot. Okay, no, one second.
Viken, I think that you have both videos open still.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you well. Can you hear me? Nicholas. Okay, is that better?
Can you hear me now, Viken?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you close the other window?
Okay, so I had two windows open?
Yeah, did you close the other one? You what you had open is you have one where you're a participant and you have a microphone access and everything, and you had one open where you were just watching the video on like the YouTube version essentially.
Okay, I see. All right.
Yep. And still, just so you know, this link has not been put into the web page where the viewers are going to see it, so it doesn't matter if we have any confidential things on here yet. This is, for all intents and purposes, public, but it's not been distributed in any way, so we can see there are no viewers on the line. Nobody's watching us right now.
Okay. Um,
And as you might have been able to tell with having the video open and the Google Hangout open, there is a slight delay to receiving that audio and actually saying it. And I've noticed it's probably between like 5 and 10 seconds of a delay, but that really shouldn't become too much of an issue for us.
all right, cool. The latency is not bad actually. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. Here, when I count to 3, do you want to also say the number 3 as soon as you hear it to kind of do a little bit of a test, and you can do the same thing.
Okay.
Here, I'll go ahead and do that. Just 1, 2, 3. Could you hear that? Are you still there?
Yeah, I said 3 while you said 3.
Oh, I didn't even hear it. Then maybe we did say it at the exact same time. Okay, that's totally fine then.
Yeah.
Um,
How about I continue with 4? Go on.
1, 2, 3.
4, 5.
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's pretty good.
Okay.
So this is what the back end is going to look like for the live panel right here. You can see this live, right? These little 6 boxes here in front of me.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 74 registrations. This is a question that I put in as a dummy question. So um, I believe if I give you this URL right here, that's all you need. I'm just going to test it by putting it into a incognito window. But no, actually, you're going to need to log in through the admin to get to this page if you did want to look at it. But I can just pitch you the questions that come up here, and they're going to come up just like this. It's the person's name and then their question. Um, and I think you can answer it via text. You can mark it as answered, and of course we can just answer over the voice too, over our broadcast. Another thing that you can do, but we didn't really prepare for this. I don't know if it's really, this is something that we can take advantage of in the future. Is this on-air broadcast where you can sort of put a call to action up whenever you'd like. So if we said something like, oh, we have quite a few speakers on the line today who have some books. You check them out here on a landing page for those books. For example, go purchase the book now or something, right? But otherwise, it's very straightforward. Let me see if I can give you like presenter privileges. One
Well,
second.
I don't design for there just today. I just hope that Brian and Camlin will be able to sign up.
Well, you were able to get in here and you're able to speak. I can hear you over, we're obviously on the broadcast right now, but
Yeah.
you do have the PowerPoint files, right?
We don't have PowerPoint in this case. It's just the dialogue.
Is there an image you want me to put up?
We can put out the plangiving.com logo.
Okay. Let me just prepare that real quick.
Look at that. Gotta go to the bathroom. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Nicholas, can you hear me well, or should I put on a headset?
I can hear you pretty well as long as we don't have any type of feedback.
Oh, cool. Actually, I kind of like this. Now I'm seeing a blank board, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I can screen share a window that isn't necessarily what I'm looking at. Actually, it might, just so that I'm able to fully use all of these controls and focus on different windows, it might honestly be best if you're able to present your screen as a slide of, or actually, I can do it on my Mac if that makes things easier for you. I just I'll probably just do it with a PowerPoint. I'll just put up a slide with the logo on it or something. Do you want the Guru logo or do you want the
Well, it doesn't matter.
PGCon? Doesn't matter. Okay. Do you have anything that you're worried about, or you want to look into at all with this, or you pretty much set? I mean, Camelin and Brian aren't on yet, though. That's the only thing. We should give them a call, I guess, or
Yeah. You know what? Let me call.
you're gonna call them?
You know what? They're probably. Hold on. I want to make sure you did not send them the other GoToMeeting.
I think they probably did get that, but they should have also received an email saying it was canceled and that to watch out for another email.
Hello, you reached the cell phone.
Hey, Cameron.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure you got the correct email to log into Google Hangout.
Okay, let me see here. Google Hangout. I did get a message about Google Hangout, and its time was not active. So let me see here.
All right.
Okay, so I've got it. I'm going to watch. Yes. Okay, it says I do not have access to this event. Let me see here.
Nicholas, can you hear her?
Yeah, I think I can hear her through your phone.
You want me to hold the line here? Actually, I can hear myself. It's very confusing. Yeah. I'm in.
Okay. Nicholas, is she in?
I don't see her in the call. No.
Hello?
Yep, hold on a second.
I'm here.
Is she in the? Can you ask her if she's in the Google Hangout? Is it say like Google Hangouts at the top of hers, or is she just watching a video of us talking? Can you hear me, Camelin? There might be a bit of a delay if you can.
Yeah, there's a delay.
Does it have any options for you to use a microphone on the screen that you're on right now?
I don't have a microphone.
Oh. Your computer does not have a microphone?
Well, no, I'm sure it does have a microphone. Here. You want me to maybe I should turn off my phone and just talk to you. I think my computer does have a microphone. I just never used it. Let me see.
Testing.
Yeah, I can still hear you, Viken.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear her.
I think yeah, she is. She's on the viewer. She's not on the right screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and send this to her real quick. Here you go. Beacon, what do you see on the screen right now, by the way?
I see your PowerPoint file. Playing it
Okay.
up.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Got it. All right, I'm gonna send her the same type of invitation. There's one, two.
She wants to end the call and talk on the computer to see if it works. I don't hear her from the computer.
I don't hear her from the computer because she's as a viewer. Camelin, you're it looks like you're a viewer, whereas we're in the call as participants. I did just send you another email from Google Hangouts. It should be a little bit differently, and it should say something like join the Hangout or join the call. Before you do get that email, go ahead and close your browser web page that had the video where you could hear us before, so you won't be able to hear me after you close that.
Trying to close everything up here. Is there a browser that you prefer that I use?
Any browser should work.
Yeah, it really shouldn't matter.
All right, I'm just waiting for it to reload here. Did you say you're sending me a different email?
Yes, she should have a new email from Google Plus or from Google. I don't know if she can hear me or not right now.
You can.
Okay.
I don't have it yet.
Okay, cool.
Try restarting here.
Nicholas, you might want to send Brian the same email. I'll be right back in 2 minutes. All right, guys?
Okay. Camelin, can you still hear me?
I can hear you on my phone.
I see it's through Beacon's speakers to your phone, I think, right?
Get my kids on their devices. Putting my phone down, but I'm still here.
Are you? It looks like
I'm back. Any luck?
I mean, from my viewpoint, it looks like she's still in the same spot. She has the browser window open and she's viewing the video, but she is not. She's not in the Google Hangout. I don't know if it's did she still not receive the email?
Now, this is only at our end, right? Our clients won't have this. Oh, Brian's on.
Yeah, Brian is in here. Brian, can
Brian.
you hear us?
I can hear you.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Fantastic.
Is this the platform we're going to use, or are we going to something else?
No, this is it.
Okay. I just put you on a headset.
Yep. Hold on, Brian. Brian, can you hear me well?
That's better.
Cool. I'm trying to figure out my headset here. It's left-handed ear.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm getting somewhere.
Sorry, Viken. What's Ms. Camlin still having trouble getting in?
Yes. Fine.
Install the plugin.
Viken, are you there right now?
I am.
Okay, great. Well, first let me start with this. Technically, I can turn up and turn down people's microphones volume. So, if you want to, balance anybody out, how do I sound right now, versus how does Brian sound to you? Can I ask?
You sound well. How do I sound? Brian, can you hear me well?
I can hear you. You sound a little bit like you're in a bit of a fishbowl, Beacon, in comparison to the other one.
Actually, I'm going to try to put on a headset, so hang in there.
Okay. Brian, I'm just going to turn you up a little bit because you are a little bit quieter than Viken right now.
Okay.
Um,
How's that?
I think that's better right now. I think I heard you.
What Camlin?
Okay. How does your Camlin say she needs to put makeup on?
Hold on.
We're not going to be a video, are we?
All right, Camlin's on.
She does have a video on. Camlin, you're going to have to leave the other video that you still have open.
All right, Camlin.
I see little kids running behind Camlin.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Hello?
Okay. Kira, will you turn off the oven?
I'm going to give you a camera for now, but I'm going to turn it off when we go live.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to use my headset here. I mean, this is fun, actually. It's working just great. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, cool. Brian,
Yes,
you look cool.
I'm very relaxed.
All right. That's good. I almost had my shirt off. I'm glad.
All right. That might be a little too relaxed.
Might want to keep your camera off then.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Sure.
All right.
I don't intend to keep my video on for the actual presentation.
Cameron, you did. I just see that it still is showing one viewer here, and I'm not sure if that's a glitch or a lag, or if you do still have that that one video still open.
Well, let me see here. Let me.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
I'm seeing 2 videos open for Beacon.
Yeah, I'm logged in as one of his, and then I have a second
Okay.
computer for Nicholas.
Okay. Guess I'll sign. I guess I'll just close the other windows and see what happens.
Yeah, I think this Google Hangout should have launched in its own window, probably outside of your browser. But if you still have some tabs open behind that, oh, there's Beacon.
Hey.
Oh, we're all up now. Beacon, you're not at the office. You're home.
Of course, I'm at home. How's everyone?
Everybody's relaxed.
How come I'm so dark?
Because he's backlit.
Oh,
You need to turn around.
let me see. Hold on.
Isn't it better that all we see is his silhouette?
Is this better? No. Okay, how's that? Nope, it's not working. You know what? Maybe I'll just shut myself off.
There's a piece of paper open.
That's good.
I guess he doesn't realize that you can just hit this little button and your video goes away.
Don't you can just look at his portrait on mine, I guess.
There you go. I don't know, Cameron, now
Beacon-
yours has a fingerprint on it. It's all blurry.
No.
I'm teasing.
Beacon, are you still there? Let's wait
get
for
a
him to
sandwich.
get back. I have a couple of questions about the logistics of just getting started with the session.
Kira, sweetie? Yeah. Can you babysit the dogs while I'm doing this? Sure. Okay. Get out.
Beacon, can you hear me? He just texted me. Beacon, it looks like your microphone is muted if you are still there. Go ahead and unmute it for you. Can you hear me, Beacon?
Okay. Can you try to control her? I'll pay you to babysit the dogs while I'm doing this, okay? See what else. Better.
I told you, Cameron, I'm not going to leave my video on for this. This is just going to be a...
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. Nothing is being broadcast to anybody else right now. I do see that one mystery viewer, but I do suspect it's still Camelin, so don't worry. Nobody's snooping in yet. Beacon, however, I think is having some difficulty with his microphone. I don't know. Somewhere in between hiding himself with that piece of paper, it clouded his microphone too, I guess.
I guess so.
All right, well, I guess that'll just have to stay.
I like the pocket doors.
Oh, yeah, they're great. So where are you, Brian?
I am at home in upstate New York, outside Utica, New York.
Outside Unica. Okay. I'm familiar with the Corning area because that's where my sister-in-law lives.
Yeah, about 2.5, 3 hours north, a little bit east of there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're a little farther upstate.
Yep. About halfway between Syracuse and Albany, if that's any help for landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you outside Charlottesville? Is that?
Yeah, Crozet is about 10 miles west of Charlottesville.
Very nice. Well, I'll be down in Virginia next week, so
Oh.
going to be in McGaheysville.
Mechanicsville?
No,
Or-
McGaheysville.
McGaheysville.
Out west of Harrisonburg.
Oh, okay. Where are you going down there? You have a client there?
No, there's a resort out there. It's the Massanutten Resort.
Oh, okay, sure.
So we've been there any number of times, and this will probably be the last time we go for a long time. So looking
Yeah.
forward to that little week of vacation.
Yeah, well, I hope you have a good time.
It's supposed to be nice. Is the weather supposed to be good next week?
I haven't checked in on the weather.
I'll look myself. It's okay. All good. So you're a musician. I see a lot of guitars there.
Yeah, my husband and I both play guitar. He plays a little more than I do. Right now this is my office, but I'm getting ready to move my office downstairs, and so it's sort of in shambles.
I don't know what that's like.
It is what it is. With this whole digital revolution, supposedly we aren't supposed to have paper, but if you look at my desk, it's covered with paper, and I see lots of paper behind you too.
Yeah, there's a little behind me. That's mostly stuff that needs to be disposed of, though. I've had my youngest daughter interning with me this summer, and we actually have recycled and shredded pounds and pounds of paper that will likely not be replaced. So I've got all these file cabinets that I'm certain will sit empty going forward. So we're getting there. I'm making a little bit of progress.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. I'm scanning and saving everything to digital files.
Yeah, and even the stuff that I'm scanning, even not as much as I would have thought. I'm just simply saying, all the stuff that I'm getting rid of. I've been in business 8 years, realizing that I'm never going to look at it again. There's no point in keeping it, and so stuff is just be gone. I think that was him calling back in to his own call. Beacon muted Beacon. You see that, the upper right? Well, it isn't technology grant. We were trying to use the same Google Hangouts to talk to my wife when she was in Europe with a couple of my kids earlier this summer, and it just wasn't working. We could never get a good connection. Got really frustrated with it.
Yeah, I've never. This is my first time, so far.
I've used it with a few clients, and they like it. You can use Skype or you can use this, and they both work well in that context. But apparently, internationally, not so well. We really struggled. So, lesson learned. It'll be interesting to see how they do for a big group like this. Although I don't know how many are signed up. It's only among the client group, so it's a limited number. It's not like it's 1,000 people.
Right.
All right, so we have the plan that you're going to answer all the questions, and then I'm just going to pick apart your answers, right? That was the strategy we came up with in the end?
That sounds like a great strategy. Sure.
Well, I don't think we have to do that. I think that I have found that with seminars like this, the best thing is if somebody thinks they know the answer, that they should toss it out there, and unless there's something seriously wrong with it, I would never contradict my co-panelist. That's just not my nature.
Yeah, me neither. That's not my nature either.
So hopefully won't be a problem. I don't think it will be.
I'm going to go get myself a glass of water. And I'd get one for you, but, well, we're limited.
That's okay. I've got one here. I'm all set.
I'll be right back.
Wait, is Beacon back?
Monitor only because I haven't heard it. It's not.
Hello?
Yes. Oh, I lost you there.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, Brian, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, cool. Hello?
Yes.
Wait till you hear what his problem was, Brian.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
He put that tape because he was so self-conscious of his appearance, and that was actually his microphone right underneath the tape there.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to admit it or not because he didn't on the phone, but that's the problem.
Oh, that's great.
It's pretty funny.
Why doesn't he just hit the off video button like I did?
I know, exactly. Well, you know, I think it's a matter of age. So I shouldn't say that. It's awful.
It's what it is.
Exactly. So, what to get your opinion if he's away? Viken, I don't know if I guess I can see he's not back. He said we have these about a dozen questions here, 10 or 15, and I can just pose these questions to start off. I'll be watching all of the questions that come in via text, and I can pose those questions as well. The only thing that I can suggest for when you're answering the questions is, try to promote, interaction in any way. Kind of ask what people's opinions are, or if they feel a certain way about what you said, just so that more people do submit questions, so we get a little bit more of a discussion going. Just whenever you do, consciously think of that. Try to incorporate that type of verbiage.
So we're trying to get the people who are listening to respond to our answers. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, essentially. If in any way, I just noticed, in any way, if you ask for people's opinions or for stories, things like that, we'll definitely get more engagement. Maybe hear some personal questions about their organizations in particular, stuff like that.
Okay. But they're going to only be able to text, right? They're not going to be verbally interacting.
Exactly, yes.
How many of you signed up?
80.
Okay.
Wow.
80 clients, yeah. The thing, too, I didn't discuss this with Viken, so I guess I can get your opinions, is there's not a waiting room for this software. So immediately when I connect the embed for this broadcast, they'll have the full access to hearing us and seeing this logo on the screen and that type of thing. They won't see your video cameras. They only see the one that's maximized. I think you probably see the same as me, just your little video, and then the big one is just a white screen with plangiving.com. Is that correct?
Well, my white screen, let me see here. Okay, now I just have plangiving.com, yes.
Okay, yeah. So they just see the one that I choose, which is that one. All of your video cameras are fine, regardless of if you keep them up or put them down. That's not part of it. But yeah, you'll just be answering these questions we already have, and then I'll be posing any new ones that they submit.
Okay, who's going to ask the questions?
I can. I have them in front of me here. That's perfectly all right. Or you can too. You have the questions. I'm all right with either one.
Where are the questions, by the way, on plangiving.guru?
I think they're on the registration page. Might have old copy.
You know what? I think I should comb my hair. I'll be right back. I look ridiculous.
Wait, you're not.
Nobody's going to see you. Anybody's going to see you is us. We're already seeing you right now.
Wait a second. Nicholas, will the audience see us or not?
No, the three of us are the only ones that are going to be laughing at your appearance. No, I'm joking. No one will see you at all. No one will see you at all.
That's funny.
But you got the email today about 12:30. You should have been on the list, and that has all of the questions if you'd like to pose them yourself, or alternately I can send them to you again.
You know what? This is the first time, so send it to me once more, will you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Viken, what I was just saying to Camelin and Brian is that different than GoToWebinar for this software is once I put in the live embed code, which should be any minute now, I should put it in the next 2 minutes, I'd say. It'll be such that whenever anybody clicks on the link that was distributed in the email, they'll be right here. They'll be seeing the broadcast and hearing us. There's no waiting room in between. So you have to take that into account. So I'll let you know once I'm going to start that broadcast. I'll also keep an eye on how many people are on the page waiting to get in. And we'll probably get started about 5 minutes afterwards. But do you still want me to do any type of introduction? Will you all sort of chitter-chatter and talk and say we're going to get started at some point? Or how do you want to exactly do the beginning?
Let me make the introduction. I'll just say that this is a monthly series that we're beginning to do. I'll let them know that we're new to this, so there might be some. No, you know what? Why don't you make the introduction? Let them know that this is a monthly series we're starting. Please excuse the few glitches. We've got a lot of questions to answer, and chances are we will not get around to all of the questions. I mean, we have a lot of questions to answer.
I don't have a list of the questions. Is that okay?
That's fine. I can send them to you right now, though, if you do want to have them printed out in front of you.
Yes, would you send them to my Yahoo address, because my Microsoft Exchange account, my password is expired and I couldn't remember I wasn't able to get in there. Do you have my Yahoo?
Yeah, it's Camelin_Leon@yahoo.com, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Just gonna go hide those.
I look out my window and I see all these people golfing. How are they doing this in the middle of the afternoon? They must have made very good planned gifts.
That's it. That's what they
Brian, how's your health, Brian?
Great.
Good.
Yeah, everything is good. Everything's going the way it should be. All the tests are coming back negative, so we'll just hope it stays that way.
Good. I hope so too. Oy. That's worse, right? All right. And Nicholas?
Yes.
There's a picture of me. I guess that's you, correct? You're not online.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Can you tell how many people are are online right now or not?
It's just a couple right now. It looks like about 10. I'm actually working on something with the stream right now just to get it to appear a little bit better.
Okay. By the way, Brian, I think this is a great segue into offering a 1 or 2 day course. That's the direction I'm going in.
I totally agree.
Camden, I hope you can be part of that too.
Oh, sure. Give it a try.
Yep. Okay, so our videos will no longer appear, correct, Nicholas?
Right, exactly. I've turned those off.
Okay.
How's the power?
Okay, so I'm going to wait for your questions. Actually, I'll just go online. Actually, Nicholas, where are the questions online?
They aren't online. They're in the email. I just forwarded it to you.
Okay. Nothing yet. I'm waiting for it. Nicholas, I haven't received anything yet. Nicholas?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and check your email. I just responded to the email where you sent them to me.
Okay, I have them now.
I still don't have them, Nicholas. Did you send them to me already?
I've sent them to you, yes, a few times.
That's weird.
I have the questions that I sent you, but I don't have any others. But that's okay. We can start with my questions.
Yeah, those are the first 10 of.
Okay, the first 10. Okay.
And I just sent it again with the rest of them. We have about 20 people online right now. We'll wait about 5 more minutes until we get started. For everybody joining us, this is the Technical Hour with PlanGiving.com. You come to the right place. We're just working out our last few technical issues here. We're going to get started about 2:05 for everybody. While you're on, go ahead and put in your first and last name below the streaming video to submit a question. Make sure the technology is working for you. Let us know in the questions panel where you're joining us from, and we'll respond to you. Thank you. great. For everybody who's joining us a few minutes early here, I see it's 2:02. We're going to be waiting about 5 more minutes for everybody else to join us here for the technical hour with plangiving.com. I see a few of you sending in some questions on the question panel. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover in the session, feel free to type them in there right now. Otherwise, tell us who you are, where you're joining us from. We'd love to get to know the audience and who we have here today a little bit better. We'll get started in about 5 more minutes. Thank you for joining us.
I hope everyone can hear me. But Brian, we've got some interesting questions here.
Absolutely. There's already some great questions coming in, and I think that we certainly look forward to chatting with people and sharing some thoughts.
Well, you know, an Ivy League school just contacted me to do an IRA rollover promotional marketing campaign to about 100,000 people. And I told them that they should think twice about it.
Well, it seems like an awfully large audience. I'm surprised they would have people who are over 70 and a half. They'd have 100 of those, frankly, or 100,000 of those. That would be a surprise to me.
I know. Well, we'll talk about that soon. And Kamala, can you hear me?
Yes, Vic and I can hear you. I'm on the other side of the computer here in beautiful Crozet, Virginia, and look forward to answering some of your clients' questions.
Great. I'm here in Valley Forge, and I'm going to take a 1-minute break, grab a glass of water, and then we can begin. How's that?
Sounds great.
You can.
All right. Nicholas, feel free to do any kind of introductions, all right?
Sure. All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Viken, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Then let's get started. Thank you for joining us, everybody, for our first technical hour with plangiving.com. These are going to be monthly webinars that we offer to our clients to answer your questions by trained professionals in the plan giving industry. Today we have Brian Sagristano and Camelin Leone with our CEO, Viken Mikhailian. If you guys want to say anything to introduce yourselves. Otherwise, I have some questions that our clients have already submitted, and I can go ahead and pose those to whoever would like to pick them up each first.
Great. I'm hoping that this will become popular so that we can eventually do it on a weekly basis and not on a monthly basis.
Yeah, well, we had a great turnout for our first one here. A lot of clients on the line, a lot from local here to Pennsylvania even as well. So let's get to their questions. I have some about tax law here first. Go ahead, Camelin.
I was just going to say, let's go ahead and start with the questions.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, whoever would like to pick up the first one here, have there been any changes to the income tax laws this year? That's a question from one of our clients.
Well, luckily, there have not been too many changes to the income tax law. The standard deduction is increased annually based on a slight inflation index, so you still get the value of your deductions and exclusions. Let me see if there's anything else here I want to say about that. For income tax, not so much. There are always changes to the estate tax exemption, but those are apply to less people. Unless we have more detail about that question, shall we go on to the next questions?
Yeah, we also received a question. What is the status of the IRA charitable rollover? Camelin or Brian, would you like to take this one?
I think Brian
Hey,
should take it.
Brian, why don't you jump in on that? Yeah.
Wow, everybody's throwing that one my way. I guess it's my question. The long and the short of it is that the IRA charitable rollover expired at the end of last year. There has been movement in Congress, in both houses of Congress, to extend it for 2 more years for 2015 and 2016. It has still not been passed by both houses of Congress nor signed by the president, so we would say that there has been activity, excuse me, passed by one house and passed out of committee in the other. And so we're now waiting for action, but obviously that won't happen until after Labor Day, since both houses have adjourned for the balance of the summer. That said, not sure that it's too big a deal to be worried about it. We have seen a significant number of organizations that are now encouraging donors to go ahead and make an IRA charitable rollover whenever they choose to. And what the organization is doing, instead of issuing a receipt or any type of formal acknowledgement for the gift, they're doing an informal acknowledgement when the gift comes in from the IRA, saying that if the IRA charitable rollover is passed by the end of the year, we will send you a formal IRA charitable rollover acknowledgement for use in your tax preparation. And if it's not passed, we'll send you a standard tax receipt at the end of the year. You'll then have to take the income from the IRA rollover, or take the money from the IRA rollover, put it into your income as far as accounting for it, and then you take an offsetting charitable deduction. And for most donors, it's not going to matter whether they do an IRA charitable rollover or they take that other methodology, which is they take that distribution into income and then take an offsetting deduction. There's a small minority of people who are subject to what we call the Pease Amendment and some phase-outs that might have some negative tax impact. But for the vast majority of donors, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, so the IRA charitable rollover isn't that big a deal. The other piece that I'll mention really quick is that there is also movement afoot for more comprehensive tax reform, and that would include a permanent extension of the IRA charitable rollover, including use of the IRA rollover for life income gifts. And so that has been a coalition that's been put together, and they're actively lobbying for that, and we will see if they can push that through. But as of right now, that we're not seeing any formal bill on that legislation.
Great, thank you, Brian. I think you answered our next question, which was if they don't pass the IRA charitable rollover now and wait until year end, how should I handle it? But could you just review that and then also answer if this charitable rollover is even relevant anymore at the end of the day?
Well, I think the IRA rollover is relevant because it gives people another pocket to reach into. There's an awful lot of people that segment their finances and they say, I don't have the money to make a charitable gift out of my current dollars, but they are willing to reach into their IRA and make that gift. And so having that tool available encourages them to reach into that other pocket and tap those resources that they say, I don't really need to get into those. And so I think it does have a place, and it certainly has some marketing benefit. So it is relevant in that way, but from a tax perspective, like I said, for the vast majority of donors, it doesn't really matter. Only for people who are subject to phase-outs or have maxed out their charitable contributions and can't carry a deduction forward, for them it matters. But for the vast majority of taxpayers, it really doesn't matter.
Great, thank you, Brian. I want to shift gears and get to a question that we have from a live audience member here now. We have Ed joining us from Pennsylvania as well. Sorry. He asks, our charitable gifts investment manager suggests that we assume a 5% to 7% total return over the next 5 to 7 years for a balanced portfolio. 2 questions. Given the annual costs for a unit trust, do you recommend in this environment? And what is the prospect for growth versus shrinking over time with management costs figured in? Does that make sense, what I asked for the first question there?
Yes, that makes sense, and that is an excellent question. one that would have many answers based on who you talk to.
Here.
As a plan giving officer, my experience with donors is that assets generally tend to grow over the long term, and that charitable remainder trusts and the outlook for investments is optimistic. Now, that being said, there are always the exogenous factors that investment advisors like to talk about. And when you set up a charitable remainder trust, there is always risk that the value of the portfolio within the trust will decline. However, we know from history, if you take a long-term point of view and you look at solid investments, that those assets in the trust will grow, and there will be a remainder for the charity, and there will also be a fixed payment or income for the charitable beneficiaries during their lifetime. So I hope that answer is helpful to you. If Brian or Viken, you have an opinion, please jump in at this point.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that we can't predict the markets, and neither can investment managers predict the markets. When you start talking about charitable remainder trust payouts, if it's going to be over a donor's lifetime and you keep it to 5 to 6%, you're keeping yourself in a pretty safe or reasonable place. If you're going to go at a higher payout rate than that, you generally want to start thinking about a term of years to try and limit the amount of payout a trust would have. But you really can't predict the markets or the future, and it's. I agree with you entirely, Ken. It's really, really a challenge. And so when I talk to donors about this, we talked about it's a charitable gift first, and they shouldn't be relying on the income or the distributions from a CRT to live on, to be their primary source of revenue or income. And if they are, then maybe a charitable remainder trust isn't the right tool for them. It should be something that's supplementary.
Right, I agree with you. Philanthropy has to be the primary objective. And I'm very aggressive about all types of gift plans as long as philanthropy is the primary objective. If there's other objectives like investments or tax savings, these plans won't work. But I've worked with many donors over the years that have given all kinds of things, and when it is truly coming from their heart that they want to make a difference, and set up a charitable gift plan, we can almost make any asset work.
Great, thank you for that. There's also a second part to Ed's question. He asks, is there any discussion of appealing to Congress to reduce the minimum payout rate for unit trusts and foundations from the current 5% to, say, and something less like maybe 3.5%? Do you have any comments on that?
I have not seen that discussion come across my my desk. There are discussions of making changes to private foundations, but those rules are very complicated, and I think a little bit, perhaps for today, beyond the scope of our discussion. I think the question that your caller or your texter would want to ask their prospective donor is, are they thinking of making a gift from a private foundation? Those rules change all the time, and Congress is always looking to limit or raise payouts on private foundations because there's a lot of people in Congress that don't like private foundations. But for other types of entities that make distributions to charity, I'm not aware of any limitations or changes on the payout rate.
Great, thank you, Camelin. The next question we have, I think this is actually from a prospect's point of view, which is just very simply put, how can I reduce my income taxes this year?
Oh, there's so many ways to reduce your income taxes. The best way is try to defer income to the coming year, if you can do that. Now, a lot of us don't have that option. We get our paychecks and we take them. Of course, you can take advantage of things like retirement plans or other benefits that may come through your employer's offerings. But the other ways to reduce your income taxes, of course, is take advantage of your deductions. And, you know, people, that's sort of a two-sided coin with deductions, specifically the charitable deduction. We all love to talk about the charitable deduction, but really most people don't take the charitable deduction. They take their standard personal exemption. So you're only going to take a charitable deduction if you itemize. Now, if you itemize, there's lots of ways to reduce your adjusted gross income. Make sure you talk to your accountant or your advisor and make sure you're getting all those deductions. Now, of course, you can reduce your income taxes by making charitable gifts. However, there are limitations based on how much money you make and the type of gift that you make, whether it's cash or whether it's some other asset besides cash. If you make a gift of cash, you can take a charitable deduction up to 50% of your adjusted gross income and carry over the excess for 5 years. Now that's a pretty good deal. So really what a donor wants to think about is if they're going to make a big gift, to talk with their charitable gift planner or their financial advisor and plan that gift and make sure they can maximize either the same year charitable income tax deduction or somehow mold the gift to take advantage of the 5-year carryover period. I hope that answer is helpful, and I would ask Brian or Viken to add anything that I may have missed.
Cameron, let's do a numeric example. Let's say someone's making $100,000 a year, and they want to make a $20,000 cash donation. How would that work?
Well, all things being equal, so if they make $100,000 a year, and we've gotten down to that point of adjusted gross income, they could take a charitable income tax deduction up to $50,000. And what did you say the gift was? $20,000?
Actually, let's say it's $50,000. Let's be generous.
So, okay. Well, they've just reduced their adjusted gross income by $50,000. Now, the actual charitable deduction is based on their income tax rate. So then we take that $50,000 and we times it, we multiply it by their income tax rate. And if they make $100,000, which bracket are they in? I have a rate sheet right in front of me. But the amount of the savings is the amount of the deduction times your income tax rate. And let me see if technology will allow me to figure that out. Let me see if I have a good example. Single filers. Does anybody have anything to add while I'm messing around with my files?
Yeah, at any point, if nobody's figured it out yet, there is the text box right below the video that you're streaming. Feel free to submit any questions that you might have during this presentation, as well as anything that is adding to a question that we've already asked.
Sure.
You know, while Cameron's doing her math, let me add this. That a couple of years ago, there was a significant push by the current administration to cap out the deduction. So even if you were in the, let's say, the 35 or the 39.6% tax bracket, that your deduction would be limited to 28%, meaning that the calculation she's doing right now would be adjusted based upon, or for higher earners, would be adjusted down, saying they wouldn't get the full value of their deduction. And when that happened, there was a significant number of people that put a lot of money into donor-advised funds so they could get a full income tax deduction that year. And now they've got a lot of money in donor-advised funds, which you can ask them for your charities. But the reason I raised that issue is that just this week, there was a new proposal, this time coming out of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, proposing to significantly reduce loans for college students, particularly for public school college students, so public colleges and universities. And the way that they proposed to pay for it was that same gimmick, which was to cap the charitable deduction, and in fact not just the charitable deduction, but all deductions, at 28%, even if you're in the 39.6% bracket. And so be conscious of the fact that if people start to say, I'm going to take a deduction this year and carry it forward 5 additional years, it's possible that in year 3 or year 4 or year 5, that deduction might be worth less if this movement gains some steam and you see this idea that we can cap charitable deductions at this lower percentage of tax rate, the lower tax rate number. And so it certainly caused people to react 2 years ago and put money into donor-advised funds. And I think if you see a proposal like that gaining steam next year after the presidential election or in the following year, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the road, you may see that same kind of activity again where people try and get money into charitably beneficial positions to avoid having a reduced deduction going forward.
Okay, I did the math here, and so if you make if your adjusted gross income is $100,000 and you make a $50,000 gift, you have reduced your adjusted gross income down to $50,000, and you will pay, and you've I'm not quite sure how to say it. You've created a savings of tax in the amount of $14,000.
Interesting.
So you're in the 28% tax bracket.
Yeah.
And you're basically saving yourself 50% of that, which is $14,000.
Correct.
You would have paid tax of 28, instead you're paying tax of 14.
Right.
Yep.
Great, thank you, Camlin and Brian. Go on.
Oh, that's okay. I just was putting it in the text.
Great, thank you. I have a follow-up question. Is there anything that my prospective donors in particular should know about income taxes that might help them with their charitable goals?
Should they charitable
Do you feel that you covered all of that in the last question, or is there anything you'd like to add?
I think we've covered a lot. We've talked about the deductions a little bit. You know, a 50%. You get a 50% rate of deduction for cash gifts. It's 30% if the gift is not cash. But the most important thing for donors who want to make the most of their charitable income tax deductions is timing. And we go on a calendar year even though we pay taxes in April. So if you want to make the most of your charitable deduction, you have to make your gifts before December 31st of every year in order to take them on your tax return, which you file in the following year. You know, there has been some talk about maybe extending that deadline for the charitable deduction, and I think that would be great. I think people should have well beyond December 31st to consider that. But really, timing is the most important issue.
Great, thank you. The next question is capital gains rates. Have they changed?
Capital gains rates. Yes, they tend to change. And this year, let's look at what those rates are. Looking for my file. The capital gains rates currently, I'm trying to find them, but they're based on your income tax rate, which is really kind of complicated for planners because people's income tax rates can change. I thought I had them here.
As you're looking that up, Nicholas, let me make a superfluous comment. Can everyone see the photographs that are being broadcasted that I see myself?
Yes, everybody should be able to. If somebody wants to confirm that, I think everybody's portrait is displaying when they're broadcasting their audio.
Camlin, what is that strange animal you're holding in your lap?
Well, that is a long-term capital asset. One of my sheeps. Oh no, he's still short-term because he's less than a year old. But I raise Navajo Turo sheep, and most of my sheep are long-term capital assets, which relates back to the question about capital gains. So most of I acquire my sheep every year, and then they get born. But my oldest sheep I acquired in 2012, and so they're long-term capital assets. And if I sold them, I'd have to pay long-term capital gains tax on those.
You know,
and the rates.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The question about going back to what are the capital gains rates? Well, if you're in the 10 to 15% bracket for income tax, and you sell a capital asset that's been held for more than a year, you don't have to pay any capital gains tax on it. If you're in the 25 to 35% rate for income tax, you have to pay 15% on your capital gains rate. And if you're in the highest income tax bracket, you have to pay 20% on capital gains tax. So if I have a ram, and I do have a ram that does a very good job of breeding sheep, and I've had him for more than a year, he's worth about $1,000 right now. My basis is about $200. If I sell him, I have to pay 20% of $800 capital gains tax, which is $160. But if I donate him to a land grant institution like Purdue University or Virginia Tech or Penn State, I don't have to pay any capital gains, and I get a charitable deduction for the full fair market value of my favorite ram, Billy the Buck, in the amount of $1,000. So the upshot of this discussion is it's always better for your donors to make gifts with appreciated assets if they can. And that could even be livestock.
Great, thank you, Camelin. I think you answered part of these next two questions, but let's just skip over one and go to the next one. What about stocks? Is it a good time to sell if you want to make a gift?
Oh, well, if you shouldn't sell stock if it's appreciated if you want to make a gift. If the stock is publicly traded, you should transfer that stock directly to the charity. And if the stock has gone down in value, you probably should consider giving another asset instead. However, if you're charitable and the asset that you have is stock, even if it's gone down in value, go ahead and talk with your donor about selling that stock and then taking a charitable income tax deduction once he or she gives the proceeds from that sale.
Thank you. Jeanne asks, she had a question on IRS Form 8283. She says, when someone donates public stock, do most nonprofits, in your opinion, as a courtesy, provide this form with the basic information completed?
8283. Brian, I'd be interested in your opinion. I think that the charity provides the form, but the charity does not complete does not fill in any blanks. That's the donor's responsibility, and I wouldn't advise a charity to take that responsibility away from the donor.
Yeah, I don't know of any charities that, as a matter of course, provide an 8283 for a gift of publicly traded stock. You know, there wouldn't be any reason for them to provide that. That really is the donor's responsibility. They do get into 8283s when it's gifts of other appreciated assets. But for stock, that has not been my experience with all the charities I've worked with and for.
Yeah. Actually, I agree with you. I misspoke there, and I haven't seen charities do that for publicly traded stock.
Great, thank you. The next question we received in advance was, who can make the most charitable deduction?
He or she who gives the most.
That's a very general question.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean,
is there nothing more to that?
Yeah, that question is actually just there by itself there. Who can make the most charitable deduction? A little bit more interesting, though. Let's move on to the next question, though. What about my spouse's income? Is that taken into account?
Well, that's a pretty broad question also. I think that the important thing to know about spouses is how filing jointly affects your ability to give, and how filing jointly will affect your charitable income tax deductions. Depending on the type, let's see, where do I want to go with that? Of course, joint filers have, the tax rates are a little different for, you have different different brackets when you file jointly. So, you know, if you're filing jointly, you can make a lot more money, and you're in a lower tax bracket for income tax purposes. So in that sense, your spouse's income does affect your income tax and the type of charitable deduction you receive. Beyond income tax, your spouse's income and your spouse's assets, and you're legally married, you have much more ability to distribute assets, either charitably, well, not, let's take charitable out of the sentence for a moment. There's a joint gift exclusion if you're married. You know, the IRS allows anyone to make a gift of about $14,000 to as many people in the world as they want. If you're married, you and your spouse can give up to $28,000 to anyone you want in a given year and not have, it's a non-taxable transaction. So your spouse can be very important in your charitable gift planning, but also in your estate and gift planning to heirs and loved ones.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting here too that we've had this new tax law that's been not new tax law. I'm sorry. This new Supreme Court case that has been put into place regarding same-sex marriage and the equal treatment under the law by the states for same-sex marriage. And I think that that's going to have some pretty profound planning and tax implications for same-sex couples that are radically going to change the charitable giving landscape as we go forward in ways that it hadn't before, as we had sort of a mixed bag where some states were allowing and other states weren't allowing. The federal government was not. It was a bit of a mess, and I think this is all going to now sort of iron itself out. And so there's going to be some opportunity to have some more conversations there that you haven't had before with donors who are same-sex couples. And so certainly I would expect to see some increased activity in that space. So if we think about spouses, that's going to be a question that's going to come up. So you want to start to be follow that and be prepared for that and be more knowledgeable in that space than you may have been in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brian, I think you've hit the nail on the head, and that is to take the global view in what's happened. And I remember times when we were trying to figure out gift plans for same-sex couples that involved retirement plans and disclaimers and all types of legal maneuvering to make their charitable gifts work. And I am happy to say that the law of the land will be the same for everyone. And I think there's a real opportunity in planned giving for charities to take advantage of this new law.
Great, thank you. I have a question earlier from Jim. He asks, can you explain gift tax credit as it may apply to planned gifts? Now, is this the same as the charitable deduction you discussed earlier, or is this anything different?
It's different.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, sure. And you know, gift tax as it applies to charitable gifts. If you think about any time you make a gift from one person to another, that is a transaction that is potentially taxable. And when you make a gift from a person to a charity, it would be taxable, but for the fact that there is an income tax charitable, but for the fact that there's a gift tax exception. Because you're making a charitable gift, there is no gift tax due on that gift to charity. But a gift from one person to another would be subject to, otherwise would be subject to tax, or a gift from one person to a charity would otherwise be subject to tax. There's an exemption for gift tax purposes for charitable gifts. And then you get into individuals, of course, and they have the same thing, that individuals, if I were to make a gift from me to everybody who's listening, I would give you all $100,000 each, that would be subject to gift tax. Now, the good news is that the first $14,000 of that is exempt from gift tax under the annual exclusion rule, meaning that I can give each of you $14,000, and I know you'd be excited if I did that, and if I had $14,000 to give each of you, I might do that. But I don't, so I can't. But the point is, I could give you 14, and it would all be excluded. And you see people do this a lot with their children and grandchildren. They'll give them gifts every year to try and get assets into their hands without having to pay gift tax. They'll give them gifts of up to $14,000. And that's why when you give a birthday present to the kid down the street, it's not subject to gift tax, because it's less than $14,000. And that's what that annual exclusion is there for. But gifts to charity are under a slightly different, they're under the, I mean, it's still a gift, and it still would be subject to gift tax, except the fact that it's exempt because it goes to a charity.
Great. Unless either of you have anything else to add to that question, we can move on.
I do have something to add to that question, and it may be just taking the scope of the question a little broader. When I work with charities, people always ask, a lot of times I get questions about estate and inheritance tax, and writing brochures or newsletters that talk about federal estate tax and how much a donor may save if he or she makes a charitable gift. I don't like that so much, because the truth is the estate tax, these days it applies to really, really rich people. And you have to be giving more than $5 million away before you're going to incur federal estate tax. And so I really would like to stress to the listeners that your mission and philanthropy should be the primary message in your publications. Now, there are a few donors out there that are going to care about federal estate tax, and you want to be able to help them understand that. But for the most part, it's not something I would emphasize in your plan giving marketing materials. That's all.
Great. Great, thank you. Another one of our listeners asks, for you to explain what's going on with gift exclusion.
I think Brian touched upon gift exclusion, and I just sort of mentioned it briefly here. Let's see here. Gift exclusion is the amount of assets that you can give away during your lifetime, and now it is also, it used to be that your lifetime and your time at death were separated, and there was a lifetime exclusion, and then there was an exclusion that you could give it when you die. But now you can just give $5.43 million away, whether you do it during your lifetime or at death. That's what you've got. And if you give more than that away, there's a whole scheme of federal estate taxes and state inheritance taxes that will come into play. Now, I think that's probably enough of an answer. If there's somebody out there who has a donor that's going to give away more than $5.43 million, let's have another webinar for that, just for that person. Brian, do you want to add anything on that?
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
Great, thank you, Camlin. I just want to put out a little bit of a message to the audience. We do have just one or two more questions left here. So if there's any last-minute questions you have for Brian, Camlin, Viken, go ahead and submit it through the questions panel right below your video. If anybody was interested in a recording of this discussion, we will have that available for all of the clients who receive this in or registered for the event. And all right, here's the last question I have here. Camlin or Brian, what charitable gift information should I have ready for my financial advisor to prepare my taxes? Again, I think this is another question from the prospect's point of view.
You should have a contemporaneous record that states the amount of the gift and to whom it was given. And the best way to get that is to make sure that you get an acknowledgement letter from the charity to whom the donor has made the gift. And that acknowledgement letter should have the date of the gift, the cash amount of the gift, if it's cash. If it's not cash, that letter should state what the property was that was received from the donor. And then, most importantly, it should have a note on the acknowledgement letter that says no goods or services have been received for this gift. Because the IRS does not like donors getting anything in exchange for their gifts. That is against the policy of philanthropy. So you should ask your charity for those letters. Most charities, the best practice is to send out a letter for every single gift, no matter the amount. The law states that charities only really have to send out acknowledgement letters for gifts over $250. I think most charities, they practice the best practice to send out acknowledgement letters for any gift because it gives them a chance to thank the donors and also create a record in case there are any issues in the future concerning a gift. So you'll want to have those. You'll want to have the tax ID numbers for the charities, and they should provide that to you. And if they don't, call them up and get it. Or you can look on www.guidestar.com for tax ID numbers, or the IRS Charity Navigator website. If you've made non-cash gifts, you'll also need the Form 8283. And if you've made non-cash gifts over $5,000, I think, you will need the qualified appraisals for those gifts. But the most basic document that a donor needs to provide his or her accountant, or when they're filing their own 1040s, is the acknowledgement letter from the charity.
Great, thank you, Camlyn. Well, since we are out of questions from our audience, Brian, Camlyn, or Viken, if there's anything else you'd like to cover in the last few minutes here, we're open to that. I want to make one more announcement. The recording for this webinar will be available. We'll send it out to everybody who attended. It'll be getting to your email through webinars@plannedgiving.com. If you have any further questions for Viken, Brian, or Camlyn, send an email to that same address, webinars@plannedgiving.com. I'd also like to remind everybody we have a real estate webinar next Thursday with Chase Magnuson on August 20th. Go to plannedgiving.guru to register for that. Camlyn, Brian, or Viken, do you have any closing comments before we end this?
My only closing comment would be to encourage the listeners to take advantage of this time of year to talk with your donors about year-end planning, to get them in the frame of mind to think about their year-end gifts and including your charity among their charitable recipients. You really have an opportunity right now to help your donors think about their financial planning and think about their charitable giving. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Camlyn. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Viken. And thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a nice day.
Thank you.